Yeah, and we back. Welcome back to another episode of Three and the Possible. You know who it be. It's your boy DRE, repping that 3 and P. But of course, you know I'm not here alone. I'm here with two of my brothers from another mother. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
This is Jay Gill from the South Side, baby.
Hey, Rob from the South Side. Doing no pop in this week. We're doing a little bit of a different format. Starting early in the AM. It's like 10:30. So something new for us. Trying it out, seeing how y'all like it. But want to touch on a couple current events that popped up as we talked about kind of like transitioning and things. Brother Kanye, I don't even know if I can call him Brother Kanye anymore, but Kanye signed a 10-year deal with the Gap. How y'all feel about that? 10 years. Okay. I don't know what the amount was that he signed for, but there's a 5-year opt out. And
Right? 100 million. It was 100 million, right?
I think so. But the Gap is hoping to have sales of $1 billion by year 5 by that opt out point. So how y'all feel about that?
I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the recent Kanye, but this is a good move by the Gap. This move was already in the works before the pandemic started, so this was already something he had in the works. We know he's big on this, right? He's big on fashion. We know that the Yeezys, he's had a lot of success in that industry, although I think this is maybe his biggest role rather, or and most lucrative deal. I think if you're the Gap and you're declining, I think they declined. I got it right here in my notes. The global sales falling from 5.3 billion in 2017 to 4.6 billion in 2019. So they're trending down, and it's clear Black folk, and not just Black folk, but Black folk, they have their finger on the pulse of what's hot and what's not. And Gap's trying to get in on that. So smart move by them.
Okay. Dre, what you think?
Just to kind of piggyback on what Jay Gill said, I don't think it's about what black folks is thinking what's hot. I think Gap is smart enough knowing that the hype behind a Kanye West product from these hype beasts. Look how well Kanye did for Adidas when he signed with them. Over his time span, they went up, I want to say, about 200% in profit just from when Kanye signed with him. All because of the hype. You got these hype beasts out here getting his shoes, his apparel, all that. So I don't think it's just because black folks know what's hot. It's just there's so much hype behind a Kanye West product. And Gap wants to jump on that. Gap knows if he can boost Adidas profits up 200%, what's he going to do once his clothing line's in stores? So I think this is a great thing for Kanye. He went from sales associate to partnering with him. That's a great thing.
Well, I think it's clear who they're shooting at, right? They had SZA, they had Metro Boomin, and I want to say ASAP Rocky, but I'm not sure about that. So to me, it's clear who they're shooting at, right? How do you get these young black folks to buy your stuff? And as much as we talk about Kanye, I think young black folks listen. Even myself, take myself. I'm not the biggest fan, but when they said Kanye was going to do his own thing, maybe I wouldn't buy it. I'm not going to say I won't, but it made me think about it. I'm sitting there and like, damn, capitalism has got me. I'm a consumer for real to the death. And I wouldn't think about the Gap ever, but now I'm thinking about the Gap. I do think it's clear, like, hey, how do we get these millennials? How do we get the kind of cool black people wearing our stuff? Because apparently, that's what's good for business and selling these hoodies and different things they're trying to, and Kanye happens to be black. I think that gives them street cred in their minds. I think it gives them street cred.
And I also think that Kanye, still, regardless of how we feel about him, he still has a big enough following, right? I'm not going to call him a cult, but there's a big enough group of Kanye fans that'll say, hey, I like what he's done in the past. As far as fashion wise goes, I'm going to stick with him and go and buy some of his Gap stuff just to support him purely from his entrepreneurial or trying to tap into that fashion sense. Because we know for Kanye, it's been probably a decades long journey to get into this fashion industry, right? And have this type of exclusive partnership with Gap. I mean, go back to his days on Sway was it Sway in the Morning or Sway 45? I forgot what Sway's, when he went off on Sway, right? Because it was about, hey, I'm trying to get into fashion, but nobody's giving me the opportunity. Like, and he's like, Sway's like, well, how can you get to the, he's like, you tell me how. You ain't got the answers. Because he's like, I'm trying to tap into this industry and nobody's letting me in. So Gap finally kind of let him in to have kind of those exclusive rights and things, to have one store push his product. I know he has that partnership with Adidas and the Yeezy deal and the sweatsuits and things that he pushed out. But who does this deal help more? Does it help Kanye or does it help Gap? Because
Gap all day.
It's Gap.
I was going to say, Gap retail sales in themselves, especially that brick and mortar, has declined, right? So there's several companies, JC Penney's, Macy's, that are looking to close stores. Is this a way for Gap to revitalize their image amongst consumers and drive more sales?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. This is going to benefit Gap full force. Like, just think, Gap is going to go from, like you said, from them losing sales to people going to be lining up outside their stores to get that first Kanye drop. It's going to go to the heavy traffic on their website now just to get that Kanye drop. Kanye's name alone attached to Gap is bringing so much hype and so much customer base to them. They're about to get stupid money out here.
Yeah. I have to agree with that. You know, a common theme, I think, is not whether it's been Nike or Adidas or now Gap. You get that quote unquote cool black guy, quote unquote hot artists or you know, whoever it is, when you're trying to get you know, when you're trying to, you know, if you can get Kanye, if you can get Michael Jordan, you can get LeBron James, like you know, you can get, when you get that cool guy, you know, selling your products, everybody wants to buy it all across all races. And I mean, this is easy. $10 million a year to potentially make $1 billion
in 5 years.
Yeah. So I mean, those numbers, what they're expecting is clear. They're giving him pennies compared to what they expect to get from this. And if they don't, they'll cut it.
Hopefully they gave him stock options.
I think Kanye is a smart enough guy where he's going to have some kind of ownership in a set amount, and then also have some revenue on the back end of it, like a percentage of revenue that
2%.
that Gap does.
He could end up owning about 2%.
I don't know if that's huge, but 2% of $1 billion is, you know, that's decent money.
Every year, we're talking about year after year. Yes, that's actually massive money.
Yeah. Well, let me ask y'all this. What'd you say?
Oh no, I was saying that's massive money over the long term.
Oh yeah.
I Gap stock.
Well, their stock rose with since when the news released. I think their stock was at like $11 and some change. It shot up, I think 29%, and it settled in at about like high 12s, like 12.90 or something like that. Don't quote me on those actual numbers, but that's what their stock rose with the news that the deal broke. So, but let me ask y'all this. So Yeezy products, typically with Adidas and just his shoe line in general, are high price points, right? 300 plus. You're going to pay pretty expensively. You're going to pay a pretty high amount for Yeezy products, right? Gap has been known to have more affordable clothing. So with this partnership, right, you've got to assume that Kanye is not coming into the Gap territory and selling his goods for hundreds of dollars, right? Does that lower the perceived value of his clothes? Because everybody, you know, high price luxury items, people go to them and say, hey, this is a high quality item because it's, you know, people are paying $300 for these shoes. Like Lonzo Balls, I forgot what they were called. The shoe had a higher price point, right? Does partnering with Gap and having his items with Gap, which I'm assuming are going to be at a lower price point, does that lower the perceived quality of his products with Gap?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Kanye is very detail oriented. You know, he wants what Kanye wants. So I think he's not going to sacrifice the quality of his product.
Not just the quality, the perceived quality. Because if they started selling Gucci belts for $20, are you going to buy that? Or are you going to say, hey, that's a knockoff? You know what I mean?
No, I don't think it's going to affect the perceived quality of it. Just because, like I said, the hype and everything coming behind the Kanye West brand or the Yeezy brand, people are going to buy whatever that man's name's on, because there's just so many people that support him and his brand, or just his fashion section, I'll say. With that, I don't think it'll be uncommon to see maybe like that $40 to $50 for a shirt type deal, because that's what people are almost paying now for some. If I may be wrong, but for like a Supreme brand, like what people are looking at to get it low and resell, because there's going to be a lot of resellers on these products. So they're gonna come in, get it for 40, 50, move it for like $150 to $200, like on a shirt or a hoodie or something. So I don't think the price is going to be too much of an issue at Gap and all that.
Well, I guess it remains to be seen how exclusive the brand will be, right? Because it'll be Gap, but it'll be, you know, the Yeezy line or whatever. So we'll see how exclusive it is. If it's not exclusive, I mean, there ain't gonna be no resale if you can just go in the store and get it. Now, if they do limited, you know, if it's really limited, then now you get the hype beast, right? Like Dre was speaking to, and there's money to be made being that third party seller or whatever, or after retail seller, whatever they call it. Yes, certain consumers aren't going to buy Gap, Yeezy or not. I think if Kanye can stay hot, if he can stay big, I mean, it's hard to see that he'll fall off, but if he were to completely fall off, then yeah, it could hurt him. It could hurt him. But if he stays hot, I don't think it matters what he's selling it for. If he keeps that Yeezy name up here, you know, we'll always respect it. I mean, we have a lot of disrespect for Kanye recently, but we still have, you know what I mean? He's still our people's, right? We may not support him 100%, but he's still Kanye at the end of the day. And again, that's what Gap is banking on.
Yeah. I think he'll still stay relevant, not just from his own works too, but because of his wife, right? They got that reality TV show, so he's always going to be in some kind of spotlight, because I'm sure people are going to want to watch them until they are no longer relevant in a sense, right? They're going to continue to watch the Kardashians, and he's always going to be in that sphere. And then even with his kids too, like his kids coming up, what is he dressing his kids in? But he did, from my understanding, he is shifting a bit, because Kanye used to have the old like slave gear with holes in the shirts and jeans, and very, very bland, like his line had like very bland items, right? But this one, from what I've heard, is supposed to have more colorful items, maybe more appeal in that sense, to say, hey, we're going to touch a wider audience, not just people in the fashion industry that are tapped in with the latest trends, but also touch on some of the more mainstays in the fashion industry, like the shirts you alluded to, Dre, that are in that mid price point. Yeah, that $40, $50 price range. So, so Kanye,
know, Rob, you might go back to the polos and backpacks for the Gap line.
No, I'm good. But I think Kanye has this been Kanye's end goal? He said in one of his first albums, in the Spaceship song, "Let's go back to the Gap," and that was like 2005, right? Has this been an obsession?
I think so. I don't even think this is the end or enough for Kanye. I think he really wants to dominate. I don't think he's gonna, I mean, even if he's successful, Gap ain't gonna dominate the industry, or I guess it just remains to be seen. I think Kanye wants even more than this, but I don't think his other brands are going away. You're going to have some of that high fashion Yeezy stuff still coming from other places, and then you're going to have his Yeezy name lended to Gap. So, yes, it's an obsession. We heard the Sway interview. We know he's been wanting to get into this industry and become a titan, right? He doesn't just want to be here. 50 Cent said something interesting when he was first coming into the game. Like, I think maybe 2 albums in, he was like, a lot of rappers, they get in and they think when you get signed, oh, I've made it. Yeah. No, you ain't made it yet. You get signed, and then you drop Get Rich or Die Trying. Now you've made it, And I think Kanye, he's got signed now. And I think he knows that. And now he's looking to make a huge impact and become a Titan, like these other big guys. And eventually probably away from the Gap, and just have that Yeezy name, just, the new Yeezy store, no Gap, no Adidas, just Yeezy. I think that's his end goal.
Becoming his own brand, right? Like a Gucci, like a Prada, whatever that is. Okay. Well, let me ask y'all this, because we spend a lot of time on Kanye. Does Kanye get enough credit for what he's doing, right? So if you look at it, he's saying, and this will be huge with certain bases, but he's going to build a manufacturing factory in Cody, Wyoming to produce the new items, right? Should he get credit for this economic stimulus that he's doing? Because he's creating jobs there, right? That's a new tax base. That's bringing a lot to the people of Wyoming. Training, skills, jobs, like I've said earlier. Should he get enough credit for what he's doing economically with this?
Yes, but let's watch and see how much people are getting paid. Let's watch and see who's getting hired. The people of Wyoming, I'm sure they will, they'll be thankful, whatever community he impacts. And it is good that he's impacting people, but, maybe watch and see what the larger impact is. If he's just paying people nothing, or, he's not affecting the Black community. Maybe the Black community isn't giving him no credit. Because in Wyoming, I don't know how he would hire us or us skills, but so the people he's helping, great.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't know too many Black people in Wyoming. As somebody who's been to Wyoming, I ain't seen so many Black people in Wyoming. Not to say that there isn't, but I don't know.
Sprinkled around there.
Yeah. So we'll transition. Something else that's hot in the news is coronavirus cases are spiking, right? We're seeing a huge surge in them nationwide. States who have started to reopen. We talked about this on one episode, the reopening planning, the phases and things. States are starting to roll back some of those things that they've reopened and said, hey, you guys can go do these things. In particular, Florida, California, Arizona, Texas, their hospitals are overwhelmed now with cases, right? So is this a result of all the protests nationwide, or is this just a result of people, once the economy started to reopen, going out and interacting and maybe not still wearing some of that protective equipment? What do y'all think?
Definitely people going out. You see plenty of videos and photos of people going out to these bars, not practicing social distancing, not having masks on. And even though some of these states were going to start punishing some of these establishments that weren't following these guidelines, these places were still packed with people with no masks or no nothing. So I think it's because of the economy opening back up way too soon. So I don't want to say I told y'all so, but I told y'all. Shit.
I think it's a combination, right? You have people in the streets. A lot of times I saw them with masks on. I saw them covered from head to toe. So, like Dre said, you're seeing these bars in these different places and they're jam packed and nobody's got masks on. People are going to these Trump rallies, no mask on. Herman Cain just got hit with COVID-19. He was at the Tulsa rally. To me, it's clear. People are going to gyms. People are going to bars, especially bars, and or to the barber shops, and that's where I think these numbers are shooting up. And they're probably shooting up in more places. I still don't think testing's going far enough. I think there's some places like Georgia that are trying to keep it under wraps. But one thing they can't hide, right, is the hospitals issue. So. It looks like we're headed right back towards a potential shutdown. I don't believe it will shut down, but we're heading towards those kinds of numbers.
That touches on another question I'm going to get to a little bit later here about potential re-lockdown. But I think you guys are spot on, right? I don't think it was purely from protests. I think it was from the reopening because I think 19 other countries had protests as well. You're not seeing surges in their numbers, right? So you're seeing a bunch of surges in numbers in the States as opposed to other countries who are also protesting. But to that point, what we're seeing now is that it is a lot of younger people in their 20s and 30s that are testing positive for COVID, right? It's not, what we heard initially was it typically affects older people, still that high risk category. But now a lot of people in their 20s and 30s are catching. Do you guys think this is because of the cavalier attitude that, us younger people have in regards to the disease and not going out and having masks on, going to those bars, nightclubs, lakes, those type of things, beaches, without protective equipment? Or do you think there's just been a general misinformation in regards to who the disease actually affects the worst, and that's why people aren't wearing this equipment?
I think it's because of the younger generation being cocky. Because even during the first, roll of this, the first stage of COVID and all that, we had those young cats out there still going to spring. Remember, it happened during spring break. People still out there, spring break. You got the dude who was interviewed. Oh, if I get COVID, I get COVID. It's not going to stop me from partying. And that's the mentality a lot of these younger cats been having. You know what I'm saying? Even cats in our age group have been having that attitude too. But I don't think it's because of misinformation. It's because people want to be like, no, I'm going to be out here. I'm going to be partying. It don't affect us young people. I could handle it, no problem. It's like, bro, cats is dying at like 18, 19 from this COVID. So because you like 21 or whatever, you can still die from this joint, especially if you have some underlying health conditions that you may or may not be aware of. Yeah. Ain't no one's untouchable from this COVID, Joe.
One thing I don't think people get is it's not necessarily that COVID is just the most dangerous thing ever known to man. It's the fact that if the hospitals are filled up and there aren't beds, now people are more likely to die unnecessarily. And I think that gets lost on people. I don't think it's misinformation. I think we were getting accurate information. I think it wasn't hurting the younger folks as much early on. And now, we're getting more sick in our age group. And like you two, like y'all wanted to go to a barbecue. Like I didn't go, I stayed safe in the house. Y'all are, there's like these guys, I mean, y'all can't see it. They sent me a picture, they're eating the same hot dog on the separate ends. So,
first of all, your lying ass. I hope you know there was pictures taken after the barbecue showing your ass there. So.
Yeah, y'all like that. No, but
what all did you put in your to-go plate?
No, people our age think we think we're Superman. We think we're not gonna get sick. They're not reporting a bunch of deaths in our group, but you could be the first. You just remember that when you're out there, and you could be your grandma. It could be your. I think it hasn't affected enough people, and it's become a political issue. So now you got about half the country thinking the other half is weak because they're wearing masks, and you got people going in businesses where you work. Say you're behind, A-Rob, so set the scene like you're a barista, and somebody comes in and they ain't got a mask on, and they just breathing on you and taking their order, and people are getting angry. Like a gentleman, a young guy was like, no, we're not gonna serve you because you don't have a mask. And a lady recorded him. I guess she thought she was gonna out him, and she ended up outing herself. And a lot of these people, they think it's a freedom issue, and I'm just gonna say it straight. Some of these white conservative people, young or old, think their rights to do whatever the hell they want trumps everyone. Period.
Well, I think you guys.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I think you guys hit it on the head, right? A lot of us younger generation people weren't getting it early on, so we just went out like, even if we do get it, we're not going to get it severely enough where we're in the hospitals. We'll be asymptomatic more than likely. So let's go out and not restrict our life. Like, let's live our lives as we see fit. And if we get sick, we get sick, right? But to that point, I think, Jay Gill, you actually mentioned this. Hold on. You actually mentioned this about hospitals being at capacity now. So now we're not only seeing people die from the actual COVID disease, but because the hospitals are packed, people that have other issues are not able to go in and get treated. And it's probably leading to a lot more, and don't have the statistics on this, but a lot more non-COVID related deaths that could have been prevented as well. So what do you guys think is an alternative to us, since these hospitals are at capacity, what's the alternative to shutting down again? Is it, we've got to force everybody out and develop herd immunity that way at the expense of lives? Or do we start to roll back some of these phases or just completely shut down again? What's the alternative to get us out of this situation that we're in with a surge in cases, hospitals at capacity, and, deaths on the rise?
There is no, I mean, if there was an emphasis on saving life, we still, we still wouldn't be open, right? We'd still be on lockdown until maybe they can find a vaccine. Maybe that's not reasonable, right? So here we are all back at work. And the herd immunity thing, I guess in theory to those people, it sounds like a good idea until they start dying, right? Till they're they only, people who say that are saying this thinking, hey, this isn't going to affect me, and I'm not going to let you infect me just because no, hell no. There is no good answer right now. Until we get a vaccine, we're kind of screwed. Whatever we do, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. And like I said, it's a political issue now. So half the country is against wearing masks.
Well, let that half go over there and run it out and
let them get herd immunity first. Let's see how it works out.
I say we shut this motherfucker back down. You know what I mean?
But so if that happens, right? Because I don't foresee us being shut down again. I can see some rolling back, more restrictions. I don't think we'll go back to only essential workers, everybody in their house. I don't think we'll see that again, but I can see some rolling back on a lot of things. I don't know if we'll have sports this season as much as everybody wants to. I think
the soccer kids out there practicing.
Who, high schoolers or?
I don't know if they're high school or the kids are so small now. I don't know if they're high school or middle school.
Yeah.
I swear, I don't know that they were out there on Richfield High School football field practicing soccer. I was like, looks like there's going to be a season to me.
I care about these soccer kids.
I don't see how that's possible without them doing what the NBA is planning to do and putting people in a bubble and kind of restricting their movements. Well, that's what they said. They're putting them on a Disney campus.
I know, it's just funny as hell to me.
Oh, putting them in a bubble?
Yeah.
But they're going to restrict movement. But I think that's the safest way, right? Like, how else can you have a controlled environment, test for this disease, and try to limit its spread amongst people that you're responsible for, in a sense? I don't know. I'd have to say there'll be some rollback. I think the government's going to have to do more to stimulate people because people are getting late. Of course, you with that. People are getting laid off, right? So there was a large subset of restaurant workers and bartenders that went back. The surge happened, and they released them again, furloughed them again, laid them off. Even Apple stores opened and closed again and said, okay, hold on. No, we're not going to be open because stuff is getting real again. We've got to pull our employees out. So I do think there'll be some rolling back, but I don't think we'll completely shut down again. But the government does need to do more for its people. And doing more for people, what have y'all done to make sure that y'all don't contract the virus or pass it along to people unknowingly when you're
don't go to barbecues at CJ's like y'all. Don't share hot dog.
You left with 2 to-go plates packed like this. Like you had a mound of food on your way out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You still got food in your beard from it.
How y'all think the NBA thing gonna work? You think they're gonna quarantine some Insta thoughts for them? You got to. You might as well quarantine like 30 Insta thoughts and have them there right on the campus.
First of all, why you say it like that? Thoughts, nigga.
I thought that was the most respectful way to say it.
So you put a little twang on it, thoughts.
Yeah,
no, anybody gonna put thoughts in a bubble? Calm down.
And that's what people want to know. How are these NBA players going to survive with just their families in the bubble? Are you kidding?
What else they do? Like they do the same thing outside. They're with their families. They go to practice facility, and really, it's not. You're saying it like they're gonna be there for an entire year, bro. It's like a 2 to 3 month window, and they're gonna be focused on trying to win the championship. like that's gonna be their focus in that 2 to 3 month window. It's trying to get a share.
Those who progress on into the playoffs.
Right. Like, if you don't want to be there, lose and go home.
Exactly.
I mean, it's going to be hard for some teams because they're already pretty high. Like the Clippers and the Lakers, they're going to be in the playoffs pretty much automatically. But
it's back, baby.
What y'all doing? Y'all wearing masks? Y'all sanitizing when you go out? You social distancing?
Gloves, masks. Anything I bring into the crib, we're disinfecting it before it even gets in contact with anybody else. And just have like a little disinfection station and all that. If I come home, I'm instantly like taking a shower and changing clothes, washing the other clothes I got. So I ain't playing.
Yeah. I mean, we don't do a lot of wiping down in the house. As soon as I come home, I try to wash my hands, try to do the basic stuff and make sure I'm not spreading it. But I'm sure we are, right? Because it's just impossible to think about everything all of the time. But we're trying to be safe. I think I had it. Hopefully I can't get it for at least till next March or something.
You should know about spreading diseases, motherfucker.
Virus, brother.
Yeah, I would say pretty much the same things as y'all. Come in the house, my mom's a stickler about it. As soon as you walk in the door, wash your hands. It's like, I go right to the sink. If I've been out around other people, I try to go right downstairs, take a shower, get my clothes off, put them in the washer. But really, I've restricted my movements a bunch. I don't go a whole lot of places. Grocery store, I made a couple DQ runs. Hey, you got to make a couple runs.
Is that blizzard worth it, brother?
It is. People have been placing orders with me, and when you go get me one, like so. But for the most part, restricting my movements as much as possible. But then, like you guys said, when you come in, just trying to do all the necessary things to kill it or ward it off when you back in the house, shower, hand sanitize. I keep one in my car.
Keep one on me.
Yeah. So whole bottle of them. So no, but I think we're going to be in this for a long haul. I don't see us being out of this until sometime next year, which sucks because I'm starting to get that travel bug again too. But it is what it is. The situation we're in. I'd rather preserve life than travel right now. So is what it is.
Road trip, brother.
You can. I think that's a safer alternative to flying, in my opinion. It's a safer alternative to flying, but it is what it is.
You can take a little trip down to the Waffle House, the closest one, and come back.
Kansas City. Straight down 35. Well, that's all I had, current event-wise. Anything else y'all want to touch on before we wrap this one up?
Just Adam Silver. We want our athletes at their best. Quarantine 30 to 40 Instagram girls.
Oh my God.
And or whatever the NBA players need. Whatever they want, and make sure they're at their top performing levels.
Well, sure.
How do you follow that?
I'm going to say is RIP Pop Smoke. Make sure y'all check out his album. Came out today. And have a safe weekend, y'all.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. So with that being said, this has been another episode of 3 and a Possible.